Standard 7, Student Assessment and Data Analysis. So, um, formative and summative assessments it's really teaching me the importance of keeping data so that I can watch my students achieve their academic goals once they take their formative assessment at the beginning of the quarter. Um, we set goals for ourselves. One of those goals is to score 25% better on the summative assessment than their formative assessment. And on their formative assessment at the beginning of the school year, it has 35 questions on it. I get those questions from the materials that we're going to go over in the health book. And after they take the formative assessment, we will play Kahoot challenges throughout the quarter. And that's going to be good review for them. It's going to give me feedback right away on whether or not they are retaining their information that I am teaching them. And once they, do good on the Kahoot challenges, then we'll move on to the next lessons, to the next chapters. And once we're done with the chapter, I'll have them take a short quiz. And then once we're done with, basically done with the quarter, I will have them retake that formative assessment, which is now a summative assessment. And usually my students score better on the summative assessment, which is good. That's telling me that they were actually learning something through the quarter. And like I said before, our goal is from the students to score at least 25% better, on their summative assessment. And my students usually do reach their goal. And also the importance of the formative assessment is that it shows me what my students know and don't know. And when I look at this, I try to focus on questions in the chapters and lessons that my students don't really know, rather than, taking a long time on things that they already know. I want them to learn. So as soon as I see something that they don't know, I stick with it until they do know it. And then we move on to the next thing. So that's why I really like taking the, formative assessments, giving them quizzes, doing the Kahoot challenges and all that stuff. So that way they know all the material before we move on. I not only do this with health, but I also give my students formative and summative assessments over sports. So like basketball, I give them a formative assessment before we start basketball to see what they know and don't know. And then we'll go over all the material, all the rules, how to play the game. And then I will give them a summative assessment over those basketball rules and whatnot that we've gone over. And again, usually they score better on the summative assessment. So that shows me that that they are learning, which is the ultimate goal. Because if they're not learning, then that means I need to change my teaching strategies, change the homework, just change the way I teach and do things. And like I said before, taking data it really shows me that my students that participate in class and they ask questions, they complete all the homework, those students usually score better on their second test, their summative assessment test, than the students that don't participate or don't do any homework. And again, that data also shows me that, hey, these students don't really know this material as much, so let's take our time and get them to know the information about those questions and that kind of area of the materials, so that way they know everything about that lesson, chapter, and whatnot before we move on. So that is Standard 7.